Hello and welcome to an Anomalous Aberration. I'm Dorothy.
I'm Jenn.
Today we're talking about John Wayne Gacy, the killer clown. Yeah, I'm excited.
Excited? I don't know if excited is the right word to use.
Well, I'm not excited because of that. I'm excited because of the new podcast room.
Yes.
So now we can podcast at Jenn's or here.
Yes. And look, listen. Shh. No screaming birds. None. No dog sitting on my foot eating its ass.
We actually tried recording this last night, but because of animals, we were not successful.
It was so bad. It wasn't one dog eating its ass, it was two. So I'm glad we're skipping that this evening. That was an experience.
If Daniel wasn't here downstairs playing his game, Luna would be howling to get up here.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
She would. We need the distraction downstairs.
And then y'all have to listen to her lick her ass.
She's good at it.
Oh yeah. Well practiced in the art of ass licking.
First thing this morning before I even had my coffee, she settled down next to me and was doing that. And I was like, I'm getting ready to get a fly swatter.
I love my dog. I love all the dogs in the house, but I don't love that sound. I
don't hit her with it. I just go like this to the floor while she's doing it.
Distract her.
And she stops.
Yeah. Ugh.
Or I tell her, go get me a toy.
I'll actually spray Winky with the spray bottle if he licks his nethers.
That's a good idea, but she bites at a stream of water.
Taylor's dog does. Winky, on the other hand, he hates it. You'd think I was spraying acid or something on him.
Crazy.
He hates it.
Alright, so John Wayne Gacy, the killer clown, was born on March 17th, 1942 in Chicago, Illinois. And he later died May 10th, 1994 while in incarceration in Stateville Correctional Center in Crest Hill, Illinois. And he was given lethal injection. Thank goodness.
Indeed. When was that, 2002?
I wish it was the electric chair. I hate to say that, because lethal injection, they put them to sleep first and they don't feel anything. I think they need to fry a little bit when they do some bad shit like that.
That's terrible. I don't know how I feel about any of the death penalty.
Or even the gas chamber.
I'm not really against any of it, but I'm not really for it either. Does that make any sense? I'm very wish-washy. I'm on the fence about it, I guess.
My whole thing is it's scary sometimes thinking people were sent to the death penalty and then later on found innocent.
Yeah, well, I don't think you have to worry about that with him.
No, we don't have to worry about that with this creeper.
But yeah, I mean, it is, like you said, every once in a while, like, what is it, DNA evidence or something later on down the road will clear somebody and you'll be like...
And they already fried him.
My bad.
Or gas chambered or...
Yeah, like, I don't know. I guess that's not the majority, though. I wouldn't... God, I hope, anyway, but that's not the majority.
I'm sure everybody's heard John Wayne Gacy at some point in time, but just a quick overview. He was a serial killer and sex offender who was known to have assaulted and murdered at least 33 young boys and men in Cook County, Illinois, in the 70s. Now, he does it in a really quick span.
Yeah.
Like 72 to 76 or something like that.
Right.
Is when he just lost it and just started killing. Like, he was doing weird shit before then, but...
That's a lot in a short period of time.
Yeah, that's crazy. Gacy was known as this... I don't even know, like, the appropriate word right now. He was very calculating, I guess you could say. He plotted out every little crime he ever committed. Like,
he had a plan.
He had a plan. Like, he had a plan of how to start, how to carry it out. Like,
I don't like that.
He's too smart, honestly.
Clever criminals are the scariest to me. Like, somebody who just has dumb luck and manages not to get caught, I'd almost prefer that to somebody who's actually smart enough to go that far with it. That's scarier to me, and get away with it for even though it was a short period that he was active. We think.
Yeah,
that's
we don't know. We don't know. He was burying almost all of his victims under his garage and in his basement of his home.
Was it an actual basement or was it a crawl space?
It was an actual basement from what I understand, because he would take the kids down to the basement.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. All right, because I had read some article somewhere, and they're like, yeah, burying him in the crawl space, and I was like, crawl space of his basement? Like,
Normally, if you have a basement, you don't have a crawl space.
no, you just go straight down to the basement.
And from the way that I researched and heard everyone saying, it was an actual basement. Like, he put pool tables and games and TV. Like, they had porn parties. Porn parties. Hey, man, come on over and watch some porn with me.
It does sound very 1970s.
Key parties and all that was all the rage back then, huh?
I guess.
Ugh. That was mine. I thought I silenced it.
I wasn't gonna say a word.
Sorry, guys. Oh, sorry again. Good
Sorry
thing we're
to
not
your
doing
phone.
ASMR right now.
It would be like the ASMR where you're halfway asleep and you're like in the chill zone, and then all of a sudden you're rocked back to reality with this really jarring sound.
I hate when I'm asleep during an ASMR ad or an ASMR thing, and then an ad comes on, and I'm like,
yes, especially the ones where they're whispering and they're being very sweet, very quiet, and then all of a sudden, do you have a bent carrot? What?
Not the bent carrot.
I've seen that commercial way too much lately. It's the first one that pops in my mind.
I don't even know what commercial you're talking about.
It's the bent carrot commercial. That's about Peyronie's disease. Look, we're just going to go ahead and plug this website. It's bentcarrot.com if you have a bent carrot.
And we're looking for sponsors, bentcarrot.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back on track.
So, like I said, most of his bodies he buried right there in the basement. Apparently he ran out of room, so he started dumping the rest of them in the Des Plaines River.
Isn't it Des Plaines?
Des Plaines?
Or is it
Des Plaines? I don't know. Des Plaines? Des Plaines? Forgive me if you're from there and I'm saying it wrong.
I only know one person from Chicago, and she didn't have any kind of accent that I could pick out one way or the other to know whether or not we're saying things remotely correctly.
He was known as Pogo the Clown, and sometimes just as the Killer Clown, because he would dress up like a clown, costume, makeup, the whole nine.
Girl.
He was a very
That makeup.
chubby clown. Did you look at the picture?
I did. I finally looked at the picture and I was like...
Look up the picture of Pogo the Clown, guys.
It's just, what, red, white, and blue. Of course, the mouth is red, the face is mostly white, and the blue is these, like, triangles, right? Am I wrong?
Scary.
Around his eyes?
Yeah.
And, yeah, like...
Would you want him walking in to make you feel better at a hospital? Because that's what he did. Like, he volunteered at hospitals for sick children.
No, I'd be kind of disturbed. I'd be like, no, my kid is afraid of clowns. Please go the other way, sir.
And I'm pretty sure that I read, too, that he did birthday parties as well.
Oh, my God. Like, no, thank you. No.
For anyone who doesn't know who he is, just Google Pogo the Clown.
It's disturbing.
It really is. And I cannot even begin to cover in one podcast all the information that's on there. So I got 3 and some pages of research, but there is so much more out there. It's just unbelievable.
There is a lot. I read 3 or 4 different articles, and I was like, and I felt like I was just getting the tip of the iceberg out of each article.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm sure there's better sources than Google.
Before I get started, thank you Wikipedia, biography.com, and 123 Help Me. That's where I got the majority of my notes from. And I also listened to the Morbid podcast.
Is that Ash and Elena? Are they the Morbid Girls?
Oh, I love them.
They're great. They are great.
I love them so much. Did you just hear that?
A click in the line?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I heard it.
Okay.
There's some noises. I don't know why it would click, because there's nothing in the line to click. But yeah.
So, apparently, John Wayne Gacy Jr. was the product of abusive childhood. He had a father who would just verbally and physically abuse him to no end. He was also abusive to the mother. And it was just horrible. He was a chubby kid, not athletic.
Was he an only child?
No, he had 2 sisters as well.
Oh, he had two sisters.
And you know, I actually watched on YouTube, and I didn't finish it, but I started watching it. there was a video where one of his sisters walks you through their childhood home.
Mm.
Yeah, it's kind of...
You said it's on YouTube?
Yeah.
I have to look it up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I like me some late night YouTubing.
Yeah, it's an actual, like, news show
Mm-hmm.
that does, like, I guess documentaries on killers and stuff like that and all that interesting stuff.
Right.
But yeah, his sister was walking you through the home and... Alright, so I was saying he was abused, not just physically, but mentally. His father would call him a queer, a sissy, make fun of him for helping his mother in the kitchen instead of wanting to do manlier things, as his father would call them. He was also sexually molested as a child. Okay, he had been diagnosed at the age of 8 with a heart condition, and he began having blackouts and seizures and spent lots of time in the hospital.
Right.
He had, right after that, I think they said his appendix burst, and he had a blood clot on his brain they had to do surgery to remove.
That's a lot going on for a young for any person, but you know, for a young person, like that's a lot.
Right. I totally agree. I can't imagine all that with one of my boys.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. While John was being molested, it was several occasions and several different people is what he told people that happened to him. He was drug into a field and raped by some girl, and the other one that I read up on that there was quite a bit on was the family friend who was a carpenter.
It's always those family friends, you can watch them.
Said that this man was said to take Gacy on rides, very long rides, in his truck, and would inappropriately touch him. Now, when I first read that, I was like, okay, well, why didn't he just tell his parents or his mom, dad, whoever, he didn't want to go on these rides with this man?
Right.
But knowing the relationship that he had with his father, he didn't even want to tell his father that he had been molested because he was afraid he wouldn't believe him.
Mm-hmm.
He was already calling him a queer.
Yeah, exactly.
And he was just like, you know, I might get punished for this.
Mm-hmm. Well, and not only that, but when you're, especially like when we were kids, things were different than they are now. Our parents didn't have the same kind of terror that we have for our children. I don't know how to explain that, but it's like the world felt a lot bigger then than it does now. Like, you could go outside and run free, just run freaking wild, and your parents might not have knew even what block you were on, never mind what what friend's house you were supposed to be at.
Right, indeed.
But, you know,
we were told get home before dark.
Yeah, pretty much. Street lights come on, you better be in the house. And, you know, and that's how it was then. And so it occurs to me that his parents might have never said, hey, nobody's supposed to touch you like that. That's not okay. That's not your fault. You tell me if somebody does. Like, those are conversations I've had with mine. You know what I mean? But my parents never had that conversation with me. And I don't think, especially his very loving father, would have had that conversation with him either.
Yeah, my parents never had that conversation with me either.
No, they never said, you're okay to tell me if something happens, or, you know, they never prepared me mentally for the fact that there are horrifying people in this world, I'll put it that way.
So, I don't know if it stemmed from the abuse or whatever, but he struggled with his sexuality for a very long time. I guess he married women.
Right.
But he liked to play with young boys.
Oh, well, that's not struggling with his sexuality. That's struggling with being a disgusting human.
That's disgusting human, but I mean, as a child, he was very, I would say, confused, or he was starting to discover himself maybe because he would steal his mother's panties.
It sounds like he was just self-loathing. Like, he wasn't, I don't think he was confused about who he was or what he was, but that he was loathing himself for being that.
Maybe.
And I think a lot of that, like you said, came from the abuse and his father being, you know, suck it up, sissy boy, or whatever, you know, that kind of mentality.
His mother didn't realize at first that the underwear were missing, and when he was finally caught, he said, his sister said that he told his parents that he liked the way they felt on him. because the sister was snooping in his bedroom and happened upon a whole bag of women's panties, and then took them down, told her mother, and
They
you know,
they
turned out to be mommy's
to be
panties.
his mom's. Okay, because like right up until that point when he likes how they feel on him, and they turned out to be his mother's, I wouldn't think too much about finding women's underwear in a boy's room until that point. And then when they're your mom's, that's kind of an issue too.
Well, I think he was like young, like 8, 9, when this was happening, so I don't think there would have been any.
It wouldn't have been normal, but at the same point, you wouldn't be alarmed generally. You'd be like, oh, curious little shit. What's he doing with these drawers?
Why has he got these panties?
But then when they're your mom's, that's a whole nother level there.
So a little bit further into the illnesses that he incurred in the hospital stays, his appendix burst in 1957, and his father claimed he was a faker. Like, any health condition that he had, his father said, "You little queer, you're faking."
How do you fake a ruptured appendix or burst appendix?
I don't know, but let's just touch base here on this dude's father. His cheese has slid off the fucking cracker.
Yeah, 100%.
Your child's been hospitalized. He's having congenital heart issues. He had a clot on the brain, which he had to have surgery. Family and neighbors said that right after the boy came home and he's going through this recovery still for this surgery, that they witnessed his father just beating on him for no reason at all.
Can you imagine?
Now, I'm only telling you this because this is actual, like, fact about his childhood, but also we've touched on this problem in podcasts before. Like, most serial killers, if you research it, have been sexually assaulted, physically abused, or have had some kind of like traumatic brain injury, an accident, and you know, you're like, gotta wonder, you know, if that played a big role in what happened to this dude's brain and why he thinks this kind of shit is okay.
Right, or why he even thinks he could possibly get away with it.
Well, he apparently got away with it.
Or would want to get away with it. Like, normal people don't even want to get away with stuff like that because they don't want to do stuff like that.
And my whole thing with it, too, was during an interview that I watched, Gacy sat there and said that even after everything his father had done to him, ways he treated him, beat him, you know, and how he abused his mother, he had no hatred for his father.
What, did he just take it like, oh, that's normal discipline?
Well, you know, you kind of got to think that too, because there was another instance where maybe it was just normal in their house, and he hadn't been around any other families maybe, so he didn't know what real normal was maybe, but apparently the father would just have these out of nowhere violent bursts of behavior. Like, for no reason, he reached across the kitchen table one evening and he punched the wife in the mouth so hard that her bridge and teeth, like dental work, came right out of her head. And she ran outside screaming, and the neighbors saw all the blood, so the police were called. And John Wayne Gacy said he can recall, you know, the messed up part of it was Dad was back in a couple days and Mom was making him dinner like everything was normal. That's exactly how he worded it in the interview. So maybe to him, because he
just
had
another day in the Gacy house.
Yeah. God. I mean, later on in life, you have to think, you know, he realized it was wrong because he put forth so much effort to make himself a normal, upstanding citizen.
Yeah. Well, that, and he looked like, I mean, looking at pictures of him now, he doesn't look like somebody I'd be particularly eager to hang out with. Like, I don't know, he looks shifty. But at the same time, he was taking the right steps to just be a wallflower, to blend in with everybody else, just minding his business and doing good things in his community and whatever, you know.
They said that people either had one of two reactions. They were like mind blown when it finally came out and he'd gotten caught for what he did, or they were like,
I can see that.
I can see that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he had some people fooled and some people just kind of on edge, but, you know, everyone in the neighborhood still partied with the man.
Right.
Just saying. Just saying.
That's an uncomfortable feeling, though, to realize that You partied with that man. I mean,
Indeed, all kinds of theme parties they would throw in the neighborhood. And despite the terrible relationship that he had with his father, it's said that him and his mothers and sisters had a great, normal, loving relationship.
I guess that's some kind of reprieve at least.
Yeah. Not that it's weird. Weird just... I don't think weird was the word I was looking for. It's sad.
Yeah. Weird that you could only have it with
boys
them
should be able to love their fathers and vice versa.
Yeah.
Um...
Well, not only that, but like, why couldn't his dad just accept him for who he was? If he wanted to bake bread, so what?
Right.
You know, if he wanted to bake bread, wash dishes, whatever it was.
He wanted him to be the man's man.
Yeah,
like,
but there's nothing that's unmanly about
contracting.
About doing things in a kitchen. There's nothing unmanly about cooking. You
No,
know what I mean?
There's definitely not. But in the 70s, it was a different time.
Yeah, I guess so.
You had more of that barefoot in the kitchen vibe going on. Still in the 70s.
Yeah.
The Stepford Wives, right?
Was that 70s or was it 60s?
I'm not sure.
It might have been earlier than that. Ooh, I'm just going to beat the shit out of this microphone real quick. Sorry.
So as John started getting older, as a young adult, he began to thrive and establish himself as an upstanding professional and became highly respected amongst all his friends, neighbors. He led a very sick, creepy life unbeknownst to them, though. Like, super creepy. I touched base on this in the beginning. He would dress up as a clown and volunteer at hospitals or do birthday parties. One of the things I thought about that was he doing that to look normal, or was he doing that to get closer to these young children?
Fishing.
Probably a little bit of both, I would think.
That's what I'd think, yeah.
Because he's got this image he's trying to uphold, and he's got this craving apparently he's trying to satisfy at the same time.
He can kill two birds with one stone that way.
Very, very sick, twisted man.
Which is, once again, just horrible to think about.
He finally left home and moved to Las Vegas, Nevada in 1962.
So he's how old then? He was born in 42?
Mm-hmm.
20? Yeah.
Yeah, he was born in 42.
So 20-ish, young person.
Okay, he's setting off on his own. He finally can't take it with his father anymore. He says he's going to go out and prove to his father that he can be a man on his own. And he gets a job at a mortuary.
I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
I don't like it. It's not the mortuary part, it's the him in a mortuary part.
Apparently he became an assistant there, and this is where he said he truly started to discover himself, which is really creepy.
Mm-hmm.
He began to hug and sensually caress the bodies.
No.
And
so hold on, I know that's not what a mortuary assistant is there to do, but what I'm sorry, what falls under the duties that a mortuary assistant would do?
Maybe clean up.
That's what I'd assume. Clean up, sterilize things, you know.
Some mortuary assistants do the makeup and stuff and get them dressed and clean them.
Yeah, I guess so.
You never know what he did there. I didn't see that in the details when I was researching.
Does anybody know? Tell me, what does a mortuary assistant do? Is it like that girl on TikTok? Do you follow that girl? She's always got some crazy color hair. She's a mortician.
Yeah.
It's her dad and her, I think.
Maybe they set up equipment and hand tools to them while they're embalming and stuff like that.
I don't know. I'm gonna ask her on TikTok.
Yeah, maybe they have to handle the funeral processions or the funeral packages.
Oh gosh, can you imagine him interacting with the family of? Oh no.
I'm sorry, that is my uncomfortableness coming out in a giggle.
I do the same things. Like
I just pictured because the way they describe him,
no.
he's like this charismatic dude who can sell anything to anybody. Like, they trust him. He's a good salesman. He's got that pitch. Can you imagine him? He's so creepy. Selling coffins.
And then to the family, where he was just back there filling up the recently departed.
I think I read somewhere too that he was like living in a back room of the mortuary.
Oh, unfettered access.
So he might have been some kind of like security too for the mortuary, being that as the assistant. I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's full blown going into this necrophiliac stuff. And he starts to scare even himself, he said.
Well, that's good. At least he knew that.
So,
This isn't normal.
This is not normal. So, John Wayne Gacy says to himself, it's time to go home. So, that's exactly what he did. He returned home to his parents, and he tried to get back to normalcy, he said. So, he signed up and started attending Northwestern Business College, and he graduated from there in 1963. He then went on to secure a manager's position pretty quickly at Nunbush Shoe Company, where he met and fell in love with his first wife. I don't even know her name, and I'm glad I forgot to write it down because bless that woman's heart.
I imagine she probably tries to distance herself pretty far from that.
I
would.
So, that's normal, right? Going to college, getting a good job, getting married. Next thing he decides to do is he decides to join this prestigious organization that called themselves the JCs. And what the JCs were, they were the United States Junior Chamber. And what they did was they provided life skills to young men. Taught them how to do job interviews. Helped them with personal skills with the people. Just trying to create those upstanding young men in the community.
Right.
Well, apparently he was so liked at the JCs that he just kept climbing higher and higher in the organization to the point where he was vice president of the Springfield JCs by 1965.
So he's like 23-ish? Early 20s.
So he's really young, and already he's a big man in the community.
Right. He's known.
He's very known.
At least semi-respected, you'd think, to make it, to be moving up and to have a job that, didn't suck and to have a wife. Because I don't know about you, but if everybody tells me, oh, he's a shithead, I'm not going to marry him.
Right.
Just saying.
So here comes 1967, and Gacy began to get darker. He committed his first sexual assault in 1967 on a teenage boy.
25-ish at this point.
And this came back to bite him in the ass because the young boy was the son of a fellow JC member.
Ugh.
Do not shit where you eat.
Right.
I'm not trying to give murderers any hints out there, but I'm just saying, you had to be pretty dumb to do this to somebody whose child you knew the parent.
Right.
You're in this organization.
I mean, either way, it's shitty
either way, but I'm just saying, you're dumb.
And this is somebody who, they're in the same organization, right? So somebody who probably knew you and respected you, at least to some degree.
Yeah, to let your child go off with you.
Yeah, exactly. And then people just disappoint me so bad. So disgusting. Humanity. Come on, do better.
He got this young boy named Donald Voorhees.
Sorry?
Did you eat? Do I need to feed you?
No, good.
I got some 3-meat pizza down there. Damn, did y'all hear that shit? She better leave that in there.
Oh,
that's
my God.
Funny.
No, it was so angry that I was like, oh.
These are excellent mics, you guys.
Indeed.
Excellent mics. So we got this boy, Donald Voorhees, to come home with him. And following the incident, it was very successful in his mind. I guess he enjoyed it. He thought he had gotten away with it. He was like, screw it. I'm going to go molest some more young boys.
Ugh.
Several more, in fact. He began to not only molest them, but it escalated to rape and sodomizing several young boys. And some of them were as young as 12 years old, you guys. I don't know why I choose these really dark ones.
So you can make me cry myself to sleep.
But I have a thing for the creepy and the serial killers. So
I think it's
not that I am one, but
no, but it's part of being human, I think, to be curious and to try to figure out why people tick the way they do, and it's a morbid curiosity.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
It is said that
them 3 meats you threw in there.
Love those 3 meats.
Oh no.
Bent carrot. It is said Gacy was into sex toys and torture, and that
somebody should have given him a bent carrot.
He would fashion anything into a dildo.
I was kidding about the bent carrot. Oh my god. Anything?
Anything. Like, and if they hurt him, all the better.
Oh god. Have you seen that chick on TikTok? Was it you that sent me that? Somebody had sent me a video on Facebook of a TikTok, and it was this chick in the dog toy aisle of like PetSmart, and she's going, if you're adventurous enough, you can use anything.
I sent that to you.
And I was like, because she was picking up those things with the knobs all over them, you know, like some aggressive looking. Yeah, she was sending me some really aggressive looking stuff, or showing aggressive looking stuff. She wasn't sending me anything.
No, I'm definitely not into all that. So
yeah.
So here's Gacy with his pedophile lair, because he turns his entire basement into like a game room with a big projector screen TV and porno, because Lord knows they were having porn parties. That's how he would get these young boys. Come on, we'll drink some beer and watch some porn. First of all, that's never been a normal occurrence in my life, where any of my friends have said to me, you want to go drink some beer and watch some porn together?
No. Maybe like, you want to go drink some beer and hang out around a bonfire? But porn is usually not on the table. It's not in the offerings of activities that we're going to do. Ever.
No.
Ever.
I'm never going to invite you over to watch porn.
No offense, but ditto.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we're normal, you know. I'm judging you off, that's your thing, but
yeah, you do you. No kink shame.
I think it was like a dozen or so kids. They said he had molested in between molesting the young boy Donald Voorhees.
Right. A dozen?
Yeah. Finally, this Donald Voorhees guy, this kid, he can't take it. It's mentally and just physically fucking up his head.
Just eating him up.
And he came forward and he told his father, and immediately the police were contacted and they arrested Gacy, although they didn't have what we would consider now concrete proof. Like, they didn't really have any proof. They were just going on this kid's word.
Right.
But I don't know if any exams were done on the child or if anything would have showed up, because he did wait a while before he came forward.
Right. Yeah.
So he was arrested and he was charged and indicted on sodomy charges. So Gacy then hired one of his employees at the time to threaten and rough up the kid to make him keep his mouth shut.
Can you imagine? Like, already, okay, once again, what I was just saying before about that kid's father and Gacy knowing each other because they're in the same organization. Like, unless this is, I'm imagining it, and this is like some huge organization, but I'm imagining this being like random city, random town, whatever, in Iowa, and pretty much just that immediate area. I mean, is that what JCs are? I would think that everybody knew everybody. So like
an Elks Club or Moose Lodge or something like that.
Similar to that. So, all right, he's already done the worst thing you can freaking imagine, but then he takes it a step further and he's going to beat the kid up.
Oh, he's going to hire someone to whoop the boy's ass.
Oh, hire someone to beat the kid up.
Yeah, he paid him.
Either way, how...
But still.
How
he paid someone.
Quack is this?
And of course, immediately after being threatened, Donald Voorhees called the police.
Yes, good. Good for him.
And...
call him anyway.
This was in 1968, and Gacy was given a 10-year sentence.
Good.
So, His wife, at the time, thoroughly disgusted by this transgression and all, divorced him.
Smart lady.
Kudos. You did the right thing. Yeah, so this is where I get thoroughly upset with the justice system, because you hear about this happening all the time, and I don't think we realize just how often it does happen. But here they got this man behind bars. They know he's committed sodomy, rape, molestation, whatever have you, and attempted, would that be a murder? Hiring that guy to beat him up? I don't know if that's assault.
Like second degree assault? I have no idea. Some sort of assault.
Something like that. Okay, so they got him on all that.
Battery?
He was sentenced to 10 years, but was released on parole after only 18 months.
So 10 years after all that, and then just do a year and 6 months.
As a condition of his parole, he had to live with his mother for a while.
Probably good that somebody keeps an eye on him.
Okay. And during this time, he did it again. But somehow...
What's his mom doing?
Somehow it slipped through the parole board.
Okay, so not only his mom is just like, I don't know what he's doing, I don't know where he's at, but also the parole board's like, meh.
Yeah, like, he got arrested, put in jail again, but was released because I guess they couldn't prove it, whatever. But his parole officer was not even notified on this occasion.
I always forget that this is like not a modern thing, because me personally, if I was on parole here and I went the next 7 states over and did something, I'd be in jail forever.
Indeed.
Like now, but I guess then it was different.
So, I guess while he's living with his mom, he decides he's going to start trying to rebuild his model life that he tries to have, his sense of normalcy. He makes a whole bunch of new friends and forms a relationship with one of them and marries her. I think her name's Carol Hoff.
How did he do that fast?
She became his second wife. They said that he was literally, could talk you out of your shoes. Like, he had this way, he was able to fool everybody.
Because, like, I can still go to, like, Food Lion, and people go, I remember that girl, she threw up on the bus when she was 7. Like, really? How?
And the fact that he was on parole and growing up there, it had to have been on the news.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Like, you people probably knew, like some of you at least, what he had gotten out of jail for. Like, what he had went to jail for, and that he was on parole. So, like, and then I read that, yes, his second wife was indeed aware of his previous charges. And she still married him and moved her 2 daughters in with him. I question that. Like, what do you guys think? Do you, I mean, I get it, the whole theory that people change, but could you let a known sex offender, pedophile, criminal live, like, marry him and live with your... I need to go back for a minute because I forgot a very key thing that I wanted to tell you guys about. Okay? We talked about John Wayne Gacy Jr.'s basement. What I forgot to tell you guys was his father had a secret basement. Nobody was allowed in there. Not his mother, not his sisters, not him. Nobody was allowed in John Wayne Gacy Sr.'s basement.
There's no secret basement.
You know, Kid Snoop.
I don't like it.
You know Kid Snoop. And I've got to wonder if there was something creepy going on in that basement.
Something nefarious.
That maybe John Wayne Gacy later decided, hey, I need a basement too. Okay?
Secret and basement.
So, yeah, that's a little out of the range of what I was talking about, but I forgot about that, and I had to touch base on that because I'm just mind blown. Like, maybe his dad was aware of the contractor molesting him. Maybe the contractor knew something about John Wayne Gacy's father.
Maybe. Or maybe John Wayne Gacy's father was just so horrible that he was trying to earn a few extra bucks. Maybe
he sold him. Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
I just think the worst of people, but that occurs to me that's
With
a
the shit
possibility.
that's going on in the world today, I cannot blame you for not having more faith in humanity. The Gabby Petito case.
Oh, I know.
We're gonna get something together on that for sure. But yeah, I have lost faith in a lot of humans as well. So he's got this second marriage going. Okay. I'm guessing he's off parole already because he gets his own house with this woman.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, he has his mass grave eventually. I'm just baffled that he was able to remain such an active member in the community with his background.
Same. Like I said, people are still stoning me for puking on the bus when I was 7.
He shouldn't have been allowed back into those organizations with children.
No. They should have run him out of town with a pitchfork.
It's mind-blowing.
Pitchforks.
He really became this master of blending in, being likable to people, the friendliest guy in the neighborhood type thing, dressing up as a clown for the hospital, for birthday parties. I mean, he was still at it. He was involved in the Democratic Party, so he was like really community oriented at this point.
Right.
Really getting into it. He started his own business, which was a PDM contracting company.
Do you think he really enjoyed involvement with the community just for the sake of involvement with the community, or do you think it was purely to
get around children?
To get around children, to make himself look better?
I really do think that he was building this whole facade. Like, he needed people to see him a certain way, because if they're like, hey, there's average Joe,
yeah,
people aren't as concerned.
I hate it so much.
You look now at some of these cases, and you look back at pictures of the men that committed these murders or serial rapists, and honestly, most of them look pretty creepy to me.
Yeah. What's that one everybody said he was very handsome? Was it Ted Bundy?
Was it him or Dahmer was handsome?
Dahmer's, he's the one that ate people, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, not him. Ted Bundy. Dark hair.
Jeffrey Dahmer liked to sodomize dead bodies,
Everybody
too.
said he was handsome, but I don't see it. I just saw creepy. Dahmer definitely creepy.
And
anyway.
when I think about him, he had a lot of similarities to the BTK killer.
Find, torture, kill?
Yeah, he was also very good at fooling those around him into thinking he was this.
I really don't know a lot about that one.
He was another one, like
Dennis Rader? Is that his name? I think he was the BTK
to be so calculating and so menacing. Smart and creepy is definitely a deadly combo.
Horrifying.
So like I said, he was this, like, the big man on campus. Everybody in the town loved him again. He was known, him and his wife were known for throwing the best parties in the neighborhood. Now, mind you, why he's having these parties, there's rotting people in the basement.
Mm.
Like, he had no remorse, they said. Didn't see where anything he had done was wrong when interviewed.
Mm.
Yeah.
But he knew it because at some point, I mean, he might not have shown it, but he knew it because, like you said, at some point he went back to his parents to get himself together or whatever.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, towards the end, he was like, fuck it, he didn't care.
Mm.
Like, I guess not, because he was getting to get lethal injection, but...
Yeah, if you know what's coming for you, what's the point? I guess.
He was moving on up in the world, and he started running his own business that mainly focused on decorating.
Decorating?
Mm-hmm. It was...
Like staging houses decorating?
PDM Construction. Said that he thrived in decorating. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Some kind of contracting company that focused on decorating. Now, what would that be?
I'm thinking like staging houses for sale. Because I don't know, I guess some places just do home decor, but I can't imagine ever hiring one unless I was staging for a sale or something.
I'll have to look into what the name of that place was because they only had PDM written down in the article.
Mm-hmm.
Gacy got really involved, like I said, in politics, and he would offer free services to the Democratic Party. It's now 1976, and Gacy decides he's going to come out and confess to his wife that he is, in fact, bisexual.
Okay.
So, Carol's like, okay, I want a divorce.
Oh, not very accepting then.
Mm-mm. Now, mind you, this is 76, and he started his first killing in 72 to 76. So at this point, she's already living in the house, and I find it very hard to believe that she didn't know the bodies were there, because the rancid smells that were coming out of the house were, like, pungent, bad, like...
What was she doing with her time that she didn't know
what he was doing in the basement?
Doing with his time?
Well, it said after the fact of him getting caught, that she did come forward and say that he'd come home all hours of the night with young boys. The neighbors said, oh yeah, there was always young boys around.
And nobody thought that was...
But nobody thought to call the police prior. That's not normal.
No.
Now, mind you, some of these boys were as young as 12 years old.
And all he had was daughters?
Yeah, her daughters.
Her daughters.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It just strikes me as unusual that, like, I like my neighbors, but if either one of them had a whole bunch of boys hanging around and coming in and out all hours of the day and night, I'd be calling somebody.
Something must have been said, like, around the time of his divorce, because he started to lose his notoriety in his golden boy status in the community, and people started to notice finally the rancid smell and, you know, coming from the house, and there was rumors floating around that he was only hiring these young teenage employees, the young boys, because he was a pedophile. So, like, part of me thinks that Carol was like, yeah, look, he's got kids coming in and out of there. You know what I mean?
Right.
She was talking with somebody.
Right.
Because they all of a sudden, like, right after the divorce, people started turning on him. And when he was questioned by the police, because it had been brought to the police's attention that he only kept company with young boys, he would tell the police that, no, man, I'm just a businessman. He was like, you know, I hire these young boys. They'll work for less money than a grown man, and they work harder because they're younger. and the police, I guess, you know, he...
In a way, I see what he's saying, but at the same time, I'd rather hire, no offense, but somebody who has a little bit of experience that I have to pay a little bit more to have the job done right the first time and faster.
They said even when he ran the father-in-law's KFC, he would hire nothing but young boys then.
Well, you kind of understand at fast food. It's pretty entry level for most people.
So no one questioned it then.
Yeah.
But then when he's starting his own big business, and he has nothing but little boys working for him.
It's a little unusual.
That is a red flag. Like, the wife should have called the police.
Yeah.
You cannot tell me that she lived in that house with her daughters, and either her or her daughters did not see what was going on in that basement.
Right, didn't see or suspect.
I'm sorry,
Anything?
I just feel like they are partially to blame because they could have probably stopped a lot of murders.
I don't know though. Think about, like, how many times have you heard somebody say, I had no idea. I had no idea. There was no indication, I had no idea, you know, about their significant other or their son or their...
You're telling me she never got curious and, like, went down in the basement when he had these young boys there?
Maybe he locked it.
Maybe.
I don't know. I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, but at the same time, decay doesn't smell great. Rotting flesh doesn't smell great.
And if he started in 72 and she didn't move out till 76, you smelled that shit.
Somewhere over the time of 4 years, you'd think so. You'd think so.
Like, there's no way...
If a mouse dies in my wall, I can smell it from 3 rooms away.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for real.
Yes.
And it's a little...
That is the worst
a little
smell.
bitty mouse.
When we were living on the farm, the house was so old they would get trapped in the walls because the farmers would put poison out.
Mm-hmm.
So they would just crawl wherever.
Run
We
up
had
in there
one
and die.
under the house, and they were big from the feed mill.
Mm-hmm.
That's the worst stench ever. So somebody smelled that shit. You got neighbors living right next to you. What the hell did y'all think it was? Like, if any of y'all are still alive, like, I doubt you're listening to this, but
In case you are.
what the hell did you think that smell was?
See something, say something.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. It was a different era, but
Well, that's like. Have you ever heard that if you're ever being raped, you should scream fire and not rape, because nobody wants to be involved in a rape? Have you ever heard that?
Yeah, I was watching the self-defense video one time that actually said that.
Yeah. Like, so, and not only that, but like, there was a time when, I think in the early days of like, before 911, so, it's, you know, you'd call your local police department, that's what you had to do. Nobody'd call. They could sit there and watch it happening out on the street, and they'd be like, oh, Sally across the way is going to call. Oh, Herbie down the street is going to call. You know, whatever. But nobody'd actually call.
I call that the It syndrome. Have you guys seen the original It where only the children see what's going on? Because the parents put a blind eye.
Yeah.
The people in town put a blind eye to it.
Yeah.
Like, there's all kinds of crazy shit that happens, and then they all just turn their heads.
I mean, think about how many times you've seen somebody's kid running around, like somebody you didn't even know. Just seen somebody's kid running around, and they're filthy, they look like they haven't eaten in a month, you know, whatever, and you go, I don't know, maybe that's just a dirty kid today. And you don't do anything. And then you find out later down the road, oh, social services took those kids because they actually were starving, they were filthy, because they didn't have any water, electricity, etc., you know, whatever the case may be. And then be like, because you didn't do anything or say anything, you didn't talk to the mother, like, hey, are you starving? Do you need some help? Or, you know,
like I said, people started to be more suspicious, you know, and he, even with everybody being suspicious, he still decided it was time to do it again. So, yeah, this one's 1978. And the young boy's name is Robert Peist, and if I'm not saying that correctly, I apologize. The young boy already had a job, but he informed his mom that he was going to go see John Wayne Gacy Jr. because he had offered him a contracting job that would pay him substantially more money than the job that he had now, and he was going to go see about this opportunity. So his mother knew where he was going. And he disappeared, and the mother was just like, okay, well, here's the last known person he was going to see. And the police were there, and they smelled the smell while
talking to him,
searching his home for the young boy, because they had been told he was there. And that's where they made their grisly discovery. Several bodies were found, and all of them were in different horrible stages of just decomposing.
Can you imagine being the poor police officers who, that's your job today? Can you imagine?
There are still today 6 of those victims, and if I'm incorrect about that and it's been updated, it's 5.
Yeah.
5 unidentified victims to this day.
I could be wrong too, but the last I saw was 5.
Okay. So at first he tried to claim innocence. I don't know how you can try to claim innocence when you've got a basement full of bodies.
They all fell down the steps. Incredible.
And he finally confessed. He broke down and he admitted to murdering 25 to 30 people since 1972. And it was, in fact, I've read 33 and I've read 34. So I'm not sure which of those numbers it is actually accurate, but, you know, it was a few more than what he confessed to. And he had probably gotten into it so much because he said he really started developing a taste for it. He got it down. He knew what he liked. He got successful of luring people you know, and
he just went for it.
He just went for it, and shortly after he was arrested, Robert Peist was finally found. It wasn't shortly after. I apologize. I read that wrong. Robert Peist was finally found dead in April of 1979. So, this young boy disappeared
78.
in 78 and was found in 79. And he was found in Grundy County. So, Gacy said that to the police during interviews that he had turned his basement into a hangout spot, offering the boys porn, drugs, and alcohol. And he was charged with 33 murders and sentenced to death with lethal injection.
Yep.
Oh, his first wife was Marilyn Myers.
Good job running away from that, Marilyn.
Mm-hmm. Well, they both ended up running away, but I think the other one was a little too late.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel bad for like everybody involved. The victims, his wives. Did he have children of his own? No, just the 2 stepdaughters?
Yeah, I don't think he had any of his own children. Okay, it's called Killer Clown by Terry Sullivan and Peter T. Macon, and it came out in 2012.
2012. Okay.
It goes into all the like DNA evidence and everything, how they confirm the identities of the victims,
right,
and his childhood and all the injuries he incurred, and supposedly there's a whole bunch of like interviews firsthand with Gacy where he goes into depth
right,
about.
I don't know how interested I am in anything he has to say, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Excuse me. You know what I mean?
I
am, but I'm not. Like you said, it's that morbid curiosity, but then at the same time, the more you think about, like, why would I be interested in that? But, I don't know. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, you want to know what the hell was wrong with him that made him do that, so you want answers. But at the same time, does he ever really give you any? Is any answer a good answer?
I'm not going to go out and murder anybody, but I've always...
you know of?
But I've always had a thing for that kind of stuff. Ghosts, murders.
It's that curiosity. Like, you want to know what the heck happened there. What
the hell
wrong?
makes people tick to do something like that? For real. Like, what makes them tick?
But at the same time, no matter what any of them say, I'm very unsatisfied with what they have to say about it. All the time, I'm just like, pfft. Like that freaking guy. Oh. He killed his 2 little girls and his pregnant wife. We covered him on a podcast episode.
Peterson?
Nope.
Not Lacey Peterson?
Mm-mm. No, some douchebag. Oh.
Emily would kick us for not remembering.
I'll insert the title down here of that podcast episode and who I'm talking about. Yeah.
I am so glad that they're more organized now with these parole boards.
Yeah.
And how they keep track of parolees and sex offenders. And by all means, people, you have information at your fingertips. Just keep in mind when certain people are arrested as sex offenders, sometimes it could be an 18-year-old boy with a 17-year-old girl.
It could.
Sometimes it is that case, and they
stones at a sex offender when you know where they are.
They show up on there.
Be aware of it.
Yes, be very aware. Like I said, you can look it up online.
Yeah. It may or may not tell you that it was what the situation was. Just that they're a sex offender in some degree. Or that's how it is in our state. It doesn't really tell you any details, which I don't need the details. I really don't.
This does say 26 were found in the crawl space in his home. Crawl space.
Yeah, yeah. That's the one I was reading, Chicago Tribune. Yeah.
Now, the ones I read said basement. Maybe they just don't know.
Well, maybe, alright, some houses will have it's not a full basement underneath the house. You know what I mean? It's like a basement under half the house or something, and then in some other portion it is just a crawl space underneath.
I know they can't see that.
No, probably not. What does it say? Oh, it's the Pogo the Clown picture.
Mm-hmm. We'll post his picture to the website, because if you guys haven't seen it, it just gives me all over creepy vibes. I was trying to find this excerpt, and I can't find it now, from when people were interviewed after he was caught.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, some people were just completely mind blown. Other people were like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I'm not saying call the police on all your neighbors.
No, obviously not. Just the creepy ones.
But, keep a mindful eye. It takes a village.
Yes.
Especially nowadays with children. And you could be wrong, but I'd rather be wrong and contact somebody because I suspected something than I'd not be wrong and I don't do anything.
I would rather be that psycho person who's calling the cops every time I hear my neighbor scream, even though she's just screaming for the heck of it. Because one of these times, what if she's actually being murdered?
So I hope you guys like what we've covered on John Wayne Gacy. Jenn and me were talking about our next one. I am really excited about that.
Yes.
I am not doing super creepy serial killer in my next one.
Oh, and another thing we forgot to mention at the top of the episode. We're changing our format. So if you've been listening previously, you'll notice that we just did one story, and we both commented on it. Dorothy did the research. I just had some commentary. I was supposed to do some research. I'm a lazy slacker. That's basically how that went down. But in the future, moving forward, instead of, if there's 4 of us here together, instead of us each having a different story and fighting for our chance to ask questions and whatever about that, each story, if we focus on one story, it makes it a lot more cohesive, coherent in the end.
Because instead of everyone having to interrupt and ask a question every 2 minutes, and then we end up off track.
For everybody's story.
Yeah. If everyone researches the same topic.
Yeah.
I think it'll just flow better. Tell us what you think. If you want us to go back to the regular way, we will, but it was starting to get a little overwhelming.
Yes. Especially for editing Jenn. Editing Jenn was not having a great time the last
She's our techie, because I have no clue.
I'm definitely not a techie, but I'm learning.
I'm just a good talker.
Mostly the hard way. A good talker.
A good talker. All right, so as usual, check out our Facebook, our Instagram, our TikTok that we have now. We have a website, www.anomalous.aberration.com, because I like to say anomalous.
An anomalous aberration.
Don't know why. I just tend to say it wrong, or I leave off a W.
Yeah, I do.
In the website address.
It's just WW.
You can go to our Patreon and buy us a coffee.
Yeah, Patreon or buy us a coffee.
Patreon or buy us a coffee.
But they're both linked on the
I'm still learning what all that is, guys.
Yeah, they're separate. Yeah, but they're linked on the website, and I'll put the website down in the description below, so you can just click it from there if you want.
Sounds good to me. Also, if you have any podcast ideas, feel free to message us and let us know.
Yeah, you can message us if you're listening to the audio. If you're watching the video, then feel free to comment, and we'll take all suggestions and considerations and probably use them all eventually.
And if you can't buy us a coffee, share.
Yes.
With like-minded friends. So
we love people who sign up to be patrons or to buy us coffee or for memberships. But we understand not everybody can do that. For example, I give all my money to the Wikipedias. So if you're the same and you're giving all your money to the Wikipedias, we'd love it if you shared. That's just as helpful as becoming a member. With somebody who can stand the sound of our voices and our smiling faces. Yeah?
Deeply creepy.
A little bit.
Okay, so next time we will be covering hitchhiking ghost phenomenons.
I'm very excited about it.
I'm excited about it too.
Were you just trying to ASMR without me noticing?
Yeah.
You snuck it in there, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, hitchhiking ghosts. Do we have anything else? I don't have anything else.
I think we covered all of our social media.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.
Bye.